Afternoon. It's what day are we on today? Wednesday the 23rd of November. Just on a field, we farm a field down near Kirby Underdale. It's a very nice area. It's mainly grassland that we have across there, which we farm organically. Then we have this farm, two fields here, which is still farmed conventionally. Actually, it's sandy land. It would grow a lot of rubbish, which is probably why I don't necessarily want to farm it organically. This field was beans last year. It's the third year now, been direct drilled. So we direct drilled some wheat straight into the bean stubble here. I'm really pleased with it actually. It's established well. Just dug a couple of plants up. If we look here, we've got some really good healthy roots on those plants. But yeah, when we first started direct drilling this field, it was really hard. You know, the soil felt quite slumped and difficult. You couldn't get your trowel into it. But gradually over the last 3 years, it's really softened up and it's starting to come right. We do try and top dress a bit of green waste compost on top of here. It's had the beans in last year, which I think is good for the soil structure, good for the nitrogen levels in the soil. So yeah, it's looking good. Can't find any aphids on the crop at the moment. I'll have a better look in a minute. Can't film that because they're small anyway. But yeah, I think the good thing is there's loads of worm casts around like these. So there's obviously some big worms living in here. If you scrape them back, there's always there's a worm there anyway, but there'll always be a big worm burrow underneath them. But yeah, you can get your trowel in really easy. When you break it open, it is sand, so it's nice soil anyway, but it tends to slump. But it's really nice and crumbly nowadays, and the structure's good on the plants. So yeah, quite hopeful for this field actually. This year it should do well. Fingers crossed. If anything, it's slightly too far ahead of itself. Really nice field. The only one that's not with me today, Seth's not with me. When Seth was younger, he really loved this field because when you do plough it, it's just like a big sand pit. So we don't get that anymore now. We don't plough it. The other thing this field did suffer from, it used to get really bad runoff. It's one of the reasons why we started direct drilling this field. Or one of the main reasons. One of the main reasons why we even started direct drilling. It seems to be that after we'd ploughed it and power harrowed it and drilled it, if it came a big rain, the next day or two after that, it would wash out the soil down its bottoms really badly. Or if it was windy, it would start blowing away. But since we started direct drilling, we've had none of that. It all works really well. In fact, it came a lot of rain, loads of rain this morning actually, and loads yesterday. But you could drive on this already. It travels, it feels that good underfoot. It doesn't feel hard, but it just feels resilient, I suppose. But anyway, yeah, I haven't put anything on YouTube for a bit. It's been foggy and drizzly for days, which doesn't make good viewing. But I'll maybe try and put a few bits on over the next day or two if we're doing anything interesting. Cattle are still out actually. The ground's been remarkably dry. I think with it being such a dry summer, the ground's been really dry below the surface, so we've managed to keep the cattle out, which is good because we certainly haven't got an excessive amount of silage to feed them over winter. There's some over there, I don't know if you can quite make them out in the distance, some cows and autumn calves actually, so they're quite young calves with those lot, but it's been, just see them over there, just in the distance. So they're still out. They've got young calves, but it's been really quite warm, so they're healthier outside. They're not going to pick up any bugs or anything out there, so yeah, it's good. I'm just having a quick look actually. There's not loads, but there are some volunteer beans in this wheat. Like I said, it is a conventional field, so we can spray them out at some point. But just looking at it, it's not focusing. Just there are some nodules on the roots there though, so these beans should be fixing a bit of nitrogen. So I'll have a word with the agronomist. They could do to stay as long as we can, really, because the longer we can leave them, the more nitrogen they'll be fixing anyway. So yeah, it's good. In the organic fields, if we have we sometimes get volunteer beans in the rye, because we usually grow rye. after beans, and I've usually found actually if I graze the rye really hard with the sheep, eventually they eat the beans. They seem to prefer the rye first, so they eat the rye first. But then they'll eat the beans down, and the rye then grows quicker than the beans and drowns the beans. You get an odd volunteer bean, but not many at all. So we can control the beans organically, but they'll get sprayed off in this field anyway. Right, you can see here actually, so we've direct drilled this field for a few years. You can see there, that's one of the gullies where soil used to wash away down here. You can see it used to wash right down there. I had to come down with the tractor and power harrow and fill them all in and re-drill them. Because we've direct drilled it since, the gully's still there a bit. But actually since we've direct drilled, there's maybe a tiny bit of water that runs down here. But it's nothing. Yeah, the water used to end up in the soil used to end up in this hedge back down here. Let's have a look across. A lovely afternoon. Just find a nice November afternoon is as good as a sunny day any time of the year, if not better. Mainly because you don't expect it, I think. But yeah, the soil all used to end up down in this hedge back down here. In fact, it's nearly buried the fence in one place. Actually had a bit of result here. We have there's an awkward corner of this field. We have it in a wild bird mix, which I'm never very good at growing them. Well, I don't know whether anyone is. It seems to grow a lot of rubbish, but yeah, it's come quite well this year. We rounded it off. I think we did plough this actually, but then we put the seed on with the Missouri, with the seed broadcaster on there. But yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff growing. I can't think what's what, but some seeds around. Anyway, there's a bird there. Success. We have one bird. We have a bird in our bird plot. Somebody let English Nature know. I'm sure there'll be more than that. But yeah, you get used to looking at it. We have grown them some years where it's just been creeping thistles and wicks, which doesn't look very nice. So it's nice to see a little bit more stuff growing. We seem to have a little bit more success actually with the pollen and nectar mixes. They seem to look after themselves a little bit better once you get the clovers and stuff going in them. So right, a little bit further. I'll be boring you with this field soon. There is a really stiff clay patch in the middle of this field. It's a bit strange. There's a bit of a spring comes up underneath it. You'd wonder why, because it's not the highest point in the field, but it's nearly one of the highest points around here, but water seems to leak out of it. But actually I could walk across it if we ploughed this. I mean, I've drilled this field plenty of times, and most of the field will drill no problem even the day after it rained, but you'd always get to this patch in the middle. You have to start lifting your front press up and then starting to lift the drill up, and your wheels would still be sinking, and all you could do really was sit there and hope that you got out the other side and worry about whether any seed was coming out of the drill later. But yeah, there's still water coming out of the ground here. You can see it's still very wet. But even though there's water coming out, you can walk across it and it's not sticking to your feet. If I'd been walking across here after I'd ploughed it, I'd have had feet the size of footballs with all the soil. But no, if you look, perfectly clean feet, and the sprayer should be the same as well, which makes it less of a worry getting autumn herbicides on and things like that. So I'll just have a look. There's it's 2 fields this, and the bottom end of the smaller field, which I'm just on the way to now, there's a real heavy horrible lump on there, which is a struggle to get established, so we'll just go and have a look at that. I noticed Richard Dove actually mentioned my YouTube channel the other day, so thanks Richard. I seem to have gained a few subscribers since you mentioned me. It must be your celebrity status, I think. So yeah, but if anyone has anything they want to see, put it in the comments, and I'll try and show them. Try and show them on a nice day like today, if I can. Just hope you can hear some of this. I only film all this on my phone, and sometimes the wind gets in the microphone and you can't hear neck all of what I'm saying. But yeah, we'll have a look at this field over here. Yeah, this is another heavy bit of the field. Well, the smaller field. It goes down to a hill end, and it's a real clay heavy lump. Really struggled to get establishment on here. We have a pollen nectar mix there, it's topped off at the moment. But yeah, really struggled to get a good establishment in this bit. But I think the establishment's been easy anyway this back end. But it certainly worked all right this year. Hoping we get into the bottom of some of our slight slug problems as well. So, but yeah, that's Uncle Bee over there. Some of our younger cattle on the hillside over there. I see Steve's got the sheds ready. They'll be going in these sheds up at the back there in the next week or two when they've eaten up. But no, they're doing well. The ground's carrying them well at the moment. And then we also have the education centre up here, so we have school kids come and spend the day with us a few times a year. I think it's about 10 days a year. To do with our stewardship scheme, but yeah, sometimes wonder what the hell I'm doing when I'm going down there to do an educational day. But we always enjoy it. We've had some really good days down there actually, and a lot of the kids just like to get outside, and they're amazingly engaged. Nearly all children that we've ever had, and they're always interested in any aspect of farming. Really, you can tell them about anything, and I don't think we've had any that haven't been interested yet. I've been very polite if they aren't anyway. Also, new member of the family as well. Look round over here. Look at that. This is Chow Chow. Sort of named by Mark Mego, never renamed our original Chow Chow. It's a bit weird. It's the third Fiat Panda I've had. One when I was a student. Sister-in-law, which was that had a rough life. Didn't last me very long. That was a four-wheel drive one. And then I bought this one a couple of months ago. It's a 1.3 diesel. This one. Had it in the workshop the other day. It's put some new springs on the back of it. It was looking a bit saggy at the back, it had broken a spring, but it's flipping brilliant off-road, it really is. They've got a lot of places our other cars won't go. So yeah, it's good. It was called Chow Chow. I think it was after, I don't know if anyone remembers from Blue Peter, they were always on about the giant pandas at London Zoo. It must have been in the 80s, one of them was called Chow Chow. I think Chow Chow failed numerous times to get pregnant, so hence the name Chow Chow. It's not, I think, nothing else. It's just named after a giant panda at London Zoo, I think. But yeah, it's good. Good to drive. A bit small, but no, it goes well. See you later.